Making a difference. It's at the heart of Southern Inspirations. I believe we all have opportunities every day to make a difference. In our homes, our local communities, everywhere we live, work, and play. Let's dive right into today's Making a Difference conversation.
Well, hello everyone. I am Michelle Hill with Southern Inspirations. Welcome to today's episode of Making a Difference. And I'm beyond excited and I'm going to ask you to help me welcome my guest, Rachel Rickman, founder and president of 500 Projects of Love, coming to us from Las Vegas. Should I say Nevada or Nevada?
It's Nevada. Some might argue that, but I would say Nevada. Hi, Michelle. How are you today?
I am good. Welcome. I am so inspired by you already in our short time of visiting, and I'm so, I'm humbled. I'm grateful. Your level of just willingness and vulnerability and transparency to get on here and have this discussion is just phenomenal. So we're going to dive into the topic of homelessness and a little bit about mental health too, because that comes to your story. So to kick things off, number one, if I haven't said it already, I'm going to say it again. Thank you for doing.
Thank you for having me.
You are so very welcome. So let's start. And would you help our viewers get to know you a little bit better? Tell us about Rachel. I know that you're in school. You've got 2 bachelor degrees. You're working on your master's. Got a little bit going on while you're also running a nonprofit. So tell us about Rachel and what you can share with us today.
Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for those that are watching. I'm very excited to be here today with Michelle and to be able to have the opportunity to share my story. As Michelle mentioned, I am in school. I'm a very busy woman. I like to keep myself busy. I have 3 bachelor's degrees, actually.
Oh, my!
Knowledge is power. I was always told that growing up. And I had some really influential teachers tell me that knowledge is power. So I wanted to make myself well-versed. And I was able to obtain my bachelor's degrees at the same time. So it just made sense because it was just a difference of a few classes. I am currently working on my master's in marketing, and I'm 3 classes away from finishing that and hoping to be done next year. And then running my nonprofit. That's my passion. That's my heart. I feel like that's my calling, my true purposes in life. And I like to stay busy. Staying busy keeps me motivated. It keeps me going. And I want to be able to show people that you can do it all if you really want it.
Right. Well, you are definitely one busy lady. And I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, but my daughter just finished her degree in integrated marketing communications.
Wow. No, I don't think you mentioned that, but it's a great degree. It combines everything. So you get a lot of skill sets.
Right. Absolutely. Wow, my goodness. Well, I know you're so close with those 3 courses. So congratulations on all of the work you've done.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Well, let's dive into the nonprofit and talk a little bit about the history, because I know that it did not start out as a nonprofit dedicated to focusing on the homeless community. So tell us a little bit about how you did start it, and then what kind of inspired you. I know you kind of set it aside for a little while, but that you came back to it. So tell us a little bit about that history, and then what really led you to begin, or I guess rebirth, to help it become what it is today.
Absolutely. So I ran 500 Projects of Love roughly for about 11 years. off and on. It started, I was scrolling a Craigslist type website, saw a young woman who was pregnant, and she was reaching out and she needed some maternity clothes. And it was just a random thing. I was just online scrolling, happened to see her post. And I was a mom, so I thought, what could I do to get her some maternity clothes? Unfortunately, everything I had was too big for her. But I started reaching out to my mom friends. And I said, I feel really compelled to help this young woman. What can I do to get her some stuff? Well, of course, that led to people saying, oh, I've got some maternity clothes. But by the way, I have this pack of diapers that my baby outgrew. And I have these bottles that just need new nipples. And a pet sitting in my garage. Well, before you know it, my mom's garage in her home was full, ceiling to floor, with nothing but baby gear. And in 2 years' time, I was able to help and bless over 100 moms. And the organization was called Baby Clothes and Worn with Love at that time. I then moved away to college and I moved into a tiny 1-bedroom apartment. There was no way I was going to be able to store all of these baby items. So I gave them to another organization. But also around this same time, my own dad became homeless. And there was an immediate connection. Yes, helping moms was great. As a mom myself, I felt connected to that, but it wasn't quite the same connection. When my dad became homeless, that was a personal connection. That was something that really hit home for me. And I'd always had a heart for helping people. I would volunteer with the American Cancer Society. I would volunteer with Make-A-Wish. I volunteered in hospice care. I couponed and did care packages for the military, Valentine's Day cards for the troops, volunteered at food banks, put together food drives. I did what I could. I was really active on my college campus as well, and did what I could on my college campus, just find ways to give back. But when my dad became homeless, as mentioned previously, that's where that real personal connection came into place for me. I've always had a heart for giving. But I should also mention my mom is also a social worker. So I think that's part of where I get that heart too, and want to be able to give back to the community. It was a long road to get to where I am today. Throughout the 11 years, it was very project-based. I would do events when I could. I was one person. I had support around me, but not to the level of really considering myself to be official. I had a lot of challenges. I struggle with some learning disabilities. I was diagnosed as being bipolar. All of these things, as well as some chronic health issues, I should mention I was diagnosed with as well. All of these things were challenges that were thrown in my way, as well as going to school as a double major, being a single mom, being on my own for the first time in my life, juggling classes, juggling at one point, I was working 5 jobs. I had 3 full jobs and 2 part-time with everything else going on. Yes, I'm crazy, I know. Like we started this, I like being busy. It motivates me, it keeps me going, and it helps my mental health to be busy. It's like, I like to say it's like medication. The busier I am, it keeps me going and I thrive on that. So the progression, kind of all of this happening at one time, I did what I could. Like I said, I had a lot of challenges, but I did with what I could with the resources that I had available.
Right.
And there were times where years went by where I wasn't able to do anything. But I worked in the space that I had. I worked with the resources that I had available to me at the time. Then I graduated college in 2014. And when I graduated college is when I moved from California to where I am now in Las Vegas. And again, when I came to Vegas, my organization sat for about 4 years and I did absolutely nothing with it. About 2 years ago, I heard a young man's story. And he's 15 now. He just turned 15 a few weeks ago. And I'd like to share his story as well, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
His name is Kyler. And Kyler started an organization called Kyler's Kicks. When Kyler was 11, he was bullied and stabbed in the chest with a pencil. It punctured his lungs. And something positive came out of that. Kyler and his family are absolutely amazing people, which is why I think it's really important as part of my story to be able to share their story as well. The things Kyler is doing at 15 are so inspirational and so inspiring. And my story wouldn't be what it is today without giving him a little bit of credit for inspiring me.
Wow.
Approximately 2 years ago, it was the 1-year anniversary of the shooting that happened here in Vegas. And there were 58 lives lost in that shooting, unfortunately. And roughly around this time is when I became familiar with Kyler's family and Kyler's story. And I decided to pledge something to honor the 58 lives that were lost. I wanted to do something around the number 58. One thing, what Kyler's organization stands for, he's since branched out and doing many things now, but how his organization started was he never wanted anybody to be bullied over his shoes because he was bullied over shoes. So he started Kyler's Kicks as a way to give back shoes to those in need. So I pledged that I was going to collect and donate 58 pairs of shoes to give back to Kyler.
Wow.
And within time collecting shoes, I ended up collecting 178 pairs of shoes.
Oh, goodness.
To date, I've 600 pairs of shoes for Kyler, and I've got about 300 more pairs in my bedroom right now. And I'm pledging to end the year having given Kyler 1,000 pairs of shoes.
Oh, my goodness. That's phenomenal.
When this kind of brought me back, though, to a moment of when I was helping that girl. All I was asking for was maternity clothes, and people kept trying to give me other things that then created this garage full of all these baby resources. Well, much like that, I had many people reach out to me and say, oh, I've got shoes, but I'm also cleaning out my closet. I've got clothes. Can you take the clothes? I've got this. Can you take that? I didn't know what I was going to do with it at the time. But I took it, and my house started to look like a thrift store. My boyfriend wanted to kill me for a little bit, but it was for a good cause. And so that kind of is what, after having 500 Projects of Love sit for so many years, that's kind of what inspired me a little bit to get more involved again after not really being involved doing anything for quite some time. I started teaming up with other organizations, and I started doing a lot of volunteer work with them. I did food drives for them. I did clothing drives. I did hygiene drives. I helped with their social media. I promoted their events. But this was kind of the start to being able to relaunch 500 Projects of Love. Also, roughly around this same time, my dad became very ill. Much of my adult life, my dad was homeless and on the streets. And unfortunately, he was also an addict and struggled with drug and alcohol abuse for as long as I can remember in my life. We didn't have a great relationship for many years because I oftentimes didn't even know where he was. But when he became sick, we went and visited him at the hospital. And this was back in November of last year. And he came home on hospice care to my sister's house and spent 3 days at my sister's house in hospice before he passed. And he passed on his 60th birthday. And I get chills telling this story, but I think it's really important. I am a big believer in the meaning behind numbers, the meaning behind words, the meaning behind why people do things the way they do and behaviors. All of that fascinates me. When I named 500 Projects of Love, I specifically chose that name for a reason. In numerology, the number 500 represents purpose and change And I want to be that purpose. I want to be that change. I don't like to use the word clients. I like to use the word homeless friends. I want to build relationships with the people on the streets, to help them, to have them trust me, to be the change, to inspire them and to inspire others to want to be the change for other people. So when I named my organization, there was very specific reasoning behind that name. When my dad passed away, he passed away on November 20th, which was his 60th birthday. And he passed away, I get chills when I say this, he passed away at 11:20 p.m. on 11/20. I was on a bus coming back to Vegas for a Thanksgiving charity event I had committed to. And I get the text from my sister that my dad has passed. I planned on going back to California a few days later, but I had committed to this event, and my family understood and knew I needed to be back home for this event. I had to go up to the bus driver and tell the bus driver, I need off this bus. I need to return to California. We were still 2 hours away from Vegas. And I asked the driver, there were no other stops in between. I asked the driver to please make a stop for me because I had a family member that was going to drive out and get me. And the sign that I saw when I asked the driver to make that stop said 11 miles away from the stop. And I think that number is important because numbers are so important to me and mean something. I felt like that was a sign from my dad. I felt like those numbers, the significance of the numbers were telling me this was my time to do something positive. This was my time to not be sad about his passing, but to be happy that we were able to repair our relationship in our final moments, and to be happy to know that something positive could come out of tragedy. I went back to California for a few days, and then I did need to return to Vegas. I returned to Vegas. I completed my event. During that event, it was an event on Thanksgiving where I helped collect over 10,000 items for the homeless. Wow. We rented a U-Haul truck and delivered all of these items. I helped run the food pantry that day. And this then kind of also, it was like an effect. It wasn't really just one thing. But this then sparked something in me on top of everything else that now was telling me, if I'm doing this for other people, I can do this for myself. So I continued over the next few months to volunteer, to work with about 15 other organizations. I did their donation drives. I promoted their events on my social media. I built relationships with these other organizations. And I had a friend, and unfortunately, she passed away about a month ago. She had her own nonprofit called the Care Package Project, and her name was Taylor. And we teamed up and did a fundraiser together in March. And if it wasn't for her, that fundraiser is part of what gave me the funding to finally be able to file for my 501c. And she supported me and she pushed me and she told me, Rachel, I'm here. I got your back. Do it. It's such a rewarding experience. Do it. And so, of course, I had a lot of things still going on in my life at the time. I had surgery in January. I had just quit a corporate job. I had 2 other part-time jobs that I was working. Again, very busy. I didn't know where the funding was going to come from. I didn't know where my board was going to come from. I didn't even know if people would help me. But I knew being 501c would make me a little bit more credible. I knew it would make people hopefully want to help more. Right. And a platform for me to be able to share my story even more, because now I've got this backing. Now I'm official. Now people aren't going to just see this as a passion project or a hobby or something I do here and there, or Rachel's helping this organization. Now I'm official. Now I have a plan. Right. I didn't know where those resources were going to come from. And then COVID hit and the world shut down. And I unfortunately was laid off from both of my jobs. So now I had time. Before I didn't even know where the time was going to come from. Right. Time. Now I could do research. Now I could really prepare and prep myself for what was going to come next. Again, I still didn't know where the money was going to come from. I still didn't know where the resources were going to come from. But then the government decided to give us this beautiful thing called a stimulus check. And all of these things were now aligning. I had the time. I felt like I had a message from my dad saying, this is your time to shine. This is your time to do this. I felt like I now have the resources because I spent the last 2 years building a team of people around me who have the same goals and the same mission. I had people supporting me. I had people willing to help me. Now I had the money to file.
Wow.
And that's what I did. I filed for my nonprofit in May. I hired a company based out of Florida to do the paperwork for me. Great company. And I had my state approval literally 2 weeks later. I was incorporated in the state of Nevada on June 11th. I then took the steps to file with the IRS, and I got my determination letter on July 25th, stating that officially backdated to June 11th, I was an official 501c.
Wow.
And that was an exciting thing to me. With all the challenges I faced, I don't like to toot my own horn, but this had been a dream of mine for so long. Being able to help the community, being able to give back, being able to empower and inspire other people, which is part of my mission, being able to provide hope and just encourage people and accept people and let them know they are loved.
Right.
Is kind of how this all came about. And I have huge goals, huge plans for the future. But right now, I work with the resources I have. So in Las Vegas, we do a lot of street outreach. We go out, we do our events about once a month. We provide a hot meal to our homeless friends. We provide hygiene items. We hope down the line to be able to provide other resources to them, connect them with mental health resources if they need it, connect them with drug and rehabilitation resources if they need it. I'm teaming up with other organizations who that's their space, but having those resources available to be able to provide to that community when we're doing street outreach. We've given away suitcases, we've given away hats, we've given away clothing. As those resources become available, we take them with us to our events. But right now, kind of our main focus is trying to provide a hot meal and hygiene supplies and meet those basic needs. But it's also really important to me with some of our future programs coming up that are in the works. I want to also be able to provide meeting their social needs as well. I don't think people think about that very often. I think the basic needs are always supported, and those things are always going to need to be supported no matter what. But I want to encourage people that they can do, just because you're on the streets doesn't mean you can't have fun. Just because you're on the streets doesn't mean you can't have the same luxuries that other people have. So I've got some programs coming up in the future that I'm really excited about, where we're gonna really try and focus on the social aspect of being homeless as well, and through social environment, providing this new level of acceptance and hope.
Wow, my goodness, you have come so far, and I know it probably doesn't seem like a short time to you, so I certainly don't want to make light of that, but you've done so much just compacted into this space of time and effort, and I'm overwhelmed in a good way. I know you were overwhelmed probably physically, emotionally, in every way you could be. But gosh, I'm inspired just from listening to you. And I love, Rachel, that you shared how others in your path along your journey of life have inspired you. And I think that's a big ordeal. And you'll see, the title and of this broadcast, as it is with all of my Making a Difference broadcasts, or it is inspired to be an inspiration. And that came to me about a year and a half or so ago, as I was praying my way through what my business, my organization, what it looks like and what I would represent. And like you, I believe that there are others that inspire us, but in turn, excuse me, we are inspired to go be an inspiration. And so I bring that up because you are walking that out. You are living that. Kyler inspired you. Your father in his last days inspired you. Your friend Taylor, who passed away, inspired you. Your mother, there's been others all along the way that have inspired you. So you're taking that energy, if you will, that passion, and let's be real, that hurt. You experienced loss from your father. And there was a certain amount of loss there, even in his life, because of your brokenness in the relationship. You've taken all those parts of Rachel and you've turned it into something beautiful to help those who are in difficult situations. I want to talk real quick about homelessness for what it is. And if you can share a couple of nuggets with us that you just think the audience, or just real important points that you think the audience should know. I know there's so much that can be said, and I'm so glad, Rachel, that you touched on the social part of it. And I think about the psychological and the emotional, because you're exactly right. The basic needs, that's the primary needs. We've got to get food, clothing, shelter, those things to folks on the streets. But beyond that, there's this whole issue of physical ailments and mental health issues and addictions, and social. We all have this innate part of us that wants to commune and socialize with others. And so I'm so glad that you touched on that, and I look forward to seeing your programs in the future. But back to just what I had just asked, what can you just share? What are just a couple of quick points that you can share with our audience that you just think, you know, if our audience doesn't hang on to anything else about the homeless community, what would you want them to leave this broadcast with?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you asked that question, Michelle. I think something that's really important to understand is that the homeless are human just like us. That's one reason why I like to refer to this community as my homeless friends. It feels like that makes it more personal. It feels like that humanizes them a little bit instead of just saying a client. I mean, that's a great word for business, but when you're dealing with people, I see people as being more than a client. They're not just a number to me. I really want to build relationships with them and help them in any way that I can. I think a lot of people get the wrong idea about why people are homeless. People are lazy. People are addicts. People don't want to do anything better to help themselves. People that give the homeless food or money are just enabling them. All of those things in some capacity are true. There is no denying that. Are there homeless people on the streets who don't want to better their lives? Absolutely. Are there people who are not ready for treatment? Absolutely. Are there people who are lazy? Absolutely. It's inevitable. That does happen. But, and then if you take nothing else away from this conversation, and this is what I want people to do. Two things. When I help somebody, I am not helping them with an expectation. I am not helping them because, sorry, I'm tripping over my words. Let me think of how I want to say that. I'm not going into it expecting anything in return from them. If they're lying to me, if they're not ready for the help, you know what? I'm not thinking about that, because in that moment, I'm helping them because I feel that that is what I'm called to be doing. I am helping them with no judgment. I am helping them because they are human beings too. The second point that I think is really important that I'd like people to take away, if nothing else, being homeless is something that can happen to any one of us. The average American lives paycheck to paycheck. And with what's going on with COVID right now, we are going to see spikes in people losing their homes, people losing their jobs, people losing resources. We see that every day. Being homeless can happen to any single one of us. Let me say that one more time. Being homeless can happen to any single one of us. And I don't know about you, but I know if I was homeless, if I was on the streets, I would want somebody to not turn a blind eye to me. I would want somebody to not walk past me on a sidewalk and just look at me like I'm garbage and treat me like I am nobody, like I am nothing. I want everybody to take away, if nothing else, that compassion, kindness, love, that is the message I want to spread. It doesn't matter about your race. It doesn't matter about your age. It doesn't matter about your sexual orientation, your religion, if you have a roof over your head or not. If you need help and I am in a position to help you, it is my job as a human being to show love, to show kindness, to show compassion, to accept you for who you are, where you are. That is why 500 Projects of Love exists. That is what I hope project. And if you take nothing else away, I hope that's what you take away from everything I've said.
Oh, Rachel, I've never counted how many episodes I've done because I've been doing this for a little over a year. This is the first time I've gotten tears. And on this platform, I've had multiple guests. We've shared all sorts of topics, from, you mentioned bullying. I've had a bullying guest, domestic abuse, adoption, drowning prevention, various shelters, just so many different stories. I've got one coming up tomorrow about literacy, but I don't know. So I've not got. I don't up, at least not on air, not live to the world like you just had me teared up. And I think it's because across the miles, I literally feel your compassion, kindness, and love. And I'm purposely leaving that up there because I want that to resonate. And I really hope that others can feel that too. And I mean, you're so exactly right. I'm going to put this quote back up there. It can happen to any single one of us. We never know when something might turn and we might find ourselves in that predicament. So if nothing else, I think you have definitely sparked. I like to believe that these things are in us as human beings, but external factors, especially as we age and different negative situations and circumstances that we find ourselves in, we can become hardened to these traits, to these characteristics of ourselves. So I pray and hope that people just have a renewed sense of compassion, kindness, and love to each other, and particularly to the homeless community. So thank you for, again, sharing from your heart. We're getting close to wrapping it up, but before we do, I want you to share with people specifically for your organization there in Las Vegas what folks can do to help. You have a brand new website, which I've had up most of this broadcast. People can go there. It's beautiful. It's all the information is there. People can go there. They can donate. It's clear what they can do, but I want them to hear it from you. Even if, I want to say this, everyone watching, and for those of you who are on replay or you're sharing or whatever, it doesn't matter. This has no geographical boundaries. So if you donate to the organization, sure, she's going to use what you donate there in Las Vegas, but this is beyond Las Vegas. And I would say, I'm stepping out here, but I feel like you're going to agree with me, Rachel. even if you don't necessarily feel led to donate to her organization because it is in Las Vegas, go find a homeless organization to donate to or to volunteer for. But for folks who feel a calling or a kind of pull to help you out, Rachel, what do you want them to do? How do you want them to help you?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned what you did, Michelle, because that was a point that I was going to touch on. Of course, I appreciate the help. Of course, I can use all the resources that I can get my hands on to keep doing what I do. I'm a new nonprofit. I'm startup. I'm grassroots. I take any help and any resources. It's greatly appreciated. One of the best ways that people can help me, of course, is donating. My website is actually, I saved my website going live for this particular interview. My website, this is the first time people are going to be able to see my website. I am launching my website right now as we are speaking.
I love it.
So please go check out the website. You can also find my Facebook page under 500 Projects of Love if you search me on Facebook. One of the things that helps me the most is word of mouth, spreading my message. The more eyes I have on what I'm doing. If you're unable to donate, please share my posts. Please like my page. Please interact with the things I'm posting. Like them, put a love, put a comment. That engagement boosts it. And people can see that, and that helps bring visibility to the message that I'm trying to spread. Donate if you can, whether that's to me or that's to another organization. Get involved. We all have this power inside of us. We all have the capability, even if it's $1. Let me break some things down real quick, if that's okay. It's just so people can understand the impact of $1. You know what $1 can buy me? $1 can buy me 4 cups of applesauce. $1 can buy me a pack of 6 granola bars. $1 can buy me 3 pairs of socks. $1 is a portion of buying a case of 24 bottles of water. $1 can buy me a loaf of bread. There are so many things that $1 can buy. People think, well, I can't afford to donate. I don't have the money. Think about the impact of what even $1 can make. And I know because I've done it and I got the data that proves it. But other ways that I think are important, make somebody smile. Be kind to one another. We have enough hate in this world. We have enough ugliness. We need to stop that. We need to support each other. Next time you walk by a homeless person, maybe you don't have any change on you. Maybe you have nothing you can give them, but you look at them and say hello. Don't just walk by them and disregard them as if they're just garbage on the sidewalk. Acknowledge them, smile at them. Try and understand somebody else's story. There's so much power in being able to connect with one another. And I think the way that we truly connect with one another is understanding somebody's struggle, understanding why we do the things the way we do them, understanding how somebody got from point A to point B, and how from point B they're going to get to E. You don't do that unless you have conversations with people. You don't do that unless you understand one another. So what I ask of you today, please share my post. Donate if you can, whether it's to me or to somebody else. Volunteer if you're able to. And if nothing else, be the light in somebody else's darkness. Thank you.
Wow. Oh, goodness. Oh, I've got chill bumps. Wonderful advice. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you just over and over for everything you are, everything you're doing, how you are truly making a difference in the lives of others across Las Vegas and across the United States and across the world. You are. And I'm honored and humbled to be a part to help you spread the word. And I cannot wait to see how you grow and how many more individuals you're able to help. And so this is the first of many conversations between you and I.
Absolutely.
Stay in touch, and I want to know things that are going on and different events that you're having. And I know that our audience is going to love to have you back because you've just been incredible, just absolutely incredible. So I thank you again.
And I thank you for having me. And anytime you'll have me again, I'd love to come back. I'd love to share, the different projects we're working on. Right now, we're working on our calendar through December. So we've got lots of events coming up in the future, lots of programs I'm hoping to launch at the beginning of next year, lots of exciting things to come. And I'd absolutely love the opportunity to come back and share some of those things.
Wonderful. Glad to hear it, because we're going to do it. We're going to stay in touch. With that, everyone, that is a wrap for this just very inspiring conversation with Rachel Rickman, president and founder of 500 Projects of Love in Las Vegas, Nevada. Thank you, Southern Inspirations audience and new audience members of Rachel that have joined us. Thank you all for watching. I will ask just to put an exclamation point on Rachel's ask that you share this broadcast, that you share the things that she's posting, and help her to continue to grow and help Southern Inspirations too. This is what I do. I share good stories about good people doing good things. And so I appreciate your support for this platform as well. With that, everyone have a wonderful rest of your day, your evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. And we'll see you again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.